Okay, so welcome back to another episode, another video inside of the channel. I know it's been a while since I've done one of these on YouTube directly, which hasn't been like a live workshop or a webinar, but I've been getting a lot of questions recently coming in through like direct messages and also comments left on posts, which you'll see on LinkedIn and Instagram if you ever like check my profile out. And I've decided to do a little bit of a series just answering those specific questions. And the kind of way I've labeled it, and you'll see this kind of like in the playlist and stuff, is the what to do if series. Now, these questions are something which come up very, very frequently. And I thought rather than kind of just creating a written piece of content or maybe just the podcast, which to be honest, it was what I was going to do. These were just going to be podcast episodes. I thought, let's record them, get them on YouTube as well. And then from there, we can kind of see where the feedback is going. So this video, as you will see from the title already, is all based around what to do when no one is buying from you. Now, this is very, very common right now, especially where people have kind of grown businesses over the last 2 years through COVID. And now, kind of the world's kind of getting back to normal again. People have hit kind of like, I guess, areas of stagnantism, whatever that word would be, right? Places where they're a bit static and they're struggling to kind of break through to the next level of growth. And I've been there, like I've experienced lots of this stuff. And what I wanted to do is just kind of take the time to really go into detail around what I would do or what I have done, to be fair, when we've had periods of sales not being as high as they should be. And I think the first place to start with in all of this, and I've broken this into sections for you, is taking the time to evaluate why you're not selling. So there's a number of different reasons, and there's four specific ones that I'm going to touch upon in this video. The first reason is kind of looking at, well, whether it's a traffic problem or not. So do you have the right amount of leads coming through? Is your audience big enough? I'm going to touch on some points throughout this video, talking about how you can kind of identify that and what to do if it is the problem. Number two is whether it's a product problem. So like if what you are currently selling is actually the issue. Maybe it needs a bit of a revamp. Maybe you need to frame it differently. Maybe you need to package it differently. So taking a look at some of the questions that I'm going to pose to you to be able to identify maybe if that's the problem or not. The third thing is whether it's a message problem, which tends to be the most common out of all of them. The message is the thing where most people get it horrendously wrong. And I mean that in the kindest way possible. But I'm going to talk to you about certain elements of where you can look to adapt your message to be able to stand out. And then the fourth one is then process. So the bit that I find the most sexy, some people don't. However, actually, it's where you can gain the most momentum when you put it right. Now, the reality of the situation is that it might be a combination of all four. And that's totally fine. My whole aim for this video is kind of to break down for you how to identify and then what to do specifically. And if you have any questions at all throughout watching it, just drop it in the comment section, whether you're watching like on YouTube or maybe you found this in some other format, wherever I've decided to post it. Just leave a comment, send me a message, and I'll answer questions as we go through. So the first place where I want to start is in traffic. Now, traffic is something which actually lots of people struggle with. I definitely did. I started with an audience like everybody did at zero. And it's something which you have to focus on every single day, in my personal opinion. And the real place to really spend some time thinking is who you're trying to target and add into your audience in the first place. I think we can get lost in the numbers game of all of this. But if we can start to really pinpoint kind of who it is that we're trying to connect with, who it is that we're trying to follow, who it is that we're trying to get into our subscription basis on YouTube as an example, if we can really identify kind of who they are, what jobs they have, where they're located, the age, whatever way you identify your dream customer, if you can get really, really clear on that and take the time to work out if they are right for your product, so kind of like match the things together, then you can start to proactively engage with them. So I spend a lot of time on platforms like LinkedIn, on Instagram, on Facebook. They tend to be the main three where I'm looking to build networks. YouTube, can't really connect with people on here, right? But this is where we look to really spend some time on those three platforms, building proactive relationships. So on LinkedIn, I am sending connection requests out to people that look like my dream customer every day, 30 to 50 to max it out. On Facebook, I've maxed out the 5,000 friends list, and the majority of them I don't know. However, they look like customers that I've found in different property groups or different business networking groups or different social media groups. I've taken the time to build them up. Now, once you have a bit of a clear picture of who those people are, you can then look at where they're spending their time. So I spend lots of time on LinkedIn, as you all know. And the reason I do that is purely because that's where my customers currently spend the majority of their time. And it's also where we can have the most impact. So we direct a lot of our content, a lot of our promotion, a lot of our time into that platform. Now, I know for sure that that's not going to be the same for absolutely everyone. However, what you need to do is just take that step back and look at, and maybe even ask your current customers where they currently spend their time and what they're engaging with. Because that way you can start to pinpoint what you need to be creating and where you need to be posting it to be able to kind of take advantage, knowing and having that information in your arsenal, or in kind of like, you've got it. I'm really losing the plot in this video. However, I'm going to leave this bit in. But like, when you've got that information, it's useful. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay. Now, building your network is obvious. So the third point of this, the first one was identify who you're trying to target. The second thing is then work out where they're spending their time. The third thing then, which I've kind of touched upon already, is proactively building your network. So send your 30 to 50 connection requests every single day. And then from there, look at utilizing the tools that the platform gives you to be able to nurture that traffic. So if it's on LinkedIn, LinkedIn events for us work really, really well. Could you create some sort of event to be able to take advantage? On Instagram, are you using polls? Are you using links to be able to send people or gather information if it's a poll on what people are interested in? On Facebook, again, they have the same features that are there. Are you utilizing them to be able to directly impact and almost take the person off the platform to another place? So we have lead magnets on there all the time. And that's actually the final point, traffic. It's taking the time to create some form of like gift, some freebie, some giveaway product. We have the 100 content ideas guide, right? I'll link it in the description so you can see it. But we have that content guide there for you to be able to go out there and get 100 content ideas from. That's something that we know people drool over in the marketplace, right? People download it all the time. It's taken probably 30 to 40 different lead magnets, right, to be able to get the thing that people want. Now, this one is actually probably the most simplest and the one that we maybe should have got to first, but we didn't. It took time and working it out. My advice to you is to take that time to really think about what your audience are really wanting right now. And the better the content that you can put out there, the better the lead magnets you can put out there, the quicker your audience is going to grow and the quicker your traffic problem is going to be solved. The moment you start focusing in on the numbers of your audience and getting the right people in there, that's when it's going to start to grow. So if that you believe is your current problem, take the time and focus in on it for 7 to 14 days and just look at the momentum that you can build. Now, traffic is one problem. The second thing that I mentioned on there is product. So we all sell things. If you're a startup, then you need to think of your product, right? If you're just getting started. But if you're already in business watching this, then you will have a product or a service that you're currently or have previously sold. Now, the biggest question that I always look to ask myself when it comes to the product that we're selling is whether the people that we're selling to not just want the product, but do they need it? And there's a clear like distinguishment between them both. And the moment that I switched our product and packaged it in a way that got people to really believe that they needed it. And to be honest, when it comes to like proactive lead gen and revenue generation, which is what we do, that's what our product does, people do need it. I just wasn't really nailing the message home or packaging the product in a way where people really understood it. And that was my fault. It wasn't theirs. So what you need to do with anything that you're selling, anything that you're putting out there, is just take the time to think about how can you package it in a way where people actually look at it and they go, do you know what? I need that. It's like when the latest iPhone comes out. It's like, it's not a want. It's like, I need it. and need to get it. People are queuing outside of stores trying to get them. How can you do that and package it in a way where it really, really focuses in on that desire, where people really are wanting for it? The second part of product is focusing in on packaging in your solution so it's in line with your messaging. So it kind of goes hand in hand with like the want and the need. It's looking at it and going, right, how can I frame it in a way and how can I sell it in a way where people look at it and they go, this is the next logical step for me. So we spend lots of time delivering workshops and webinars and talks out in the public, right? And the way that I deliver the message isn't by going into like a detail around features and benefits. That tends to be one of the biggest problems that people have, is that they go into like the information and the fact finding stuff. That's not what we want to do. What you want to do is take the time to think about what is it that your audience need to hear to be able to understand what your product's going to do to a point where they know that they need to buy it. So for us, it wasn't about the fact that, let's talk about our social selling academy, right? We have a course, we have the weekly kind of group coaching sessions. We have all the ongoing support with, like, you can send profiles, links in, you can send your content in, landing pages in, webinars in, and the team will review it. We have the scripts, the templates, all of that sort of stuff, all the features and benefits, the list there. There's more, right? But you get the point. If we just say that, people don't really care. What people actually want is to be able to build a sales funnel that's going to generate revenue, like almost like on autopilot. That's what they want. That's almost what they need at the same time as well. They want their content, like ideas, given to them. They don't just want to have to come up with them themselves, because that's what they're paying us for us to help them with content. Same with messaging, like creating their own message templates, and the same with webinar templates. They don't want to have it flipping, like, for them to think about it. They want the answers, which is what our team give them. When we frame that in a way, people are looking at it going, for 150 quid a month, it's an absolute no-brainer. What I want to challenge you to do watching this video is do the exact same thing. So think about how you can package all of this up to the point where you're almost reading like your ideal client's minds, to the point where they're like, well, how does this person know that I want all of this stuff? Do you know what? I really do. And then they go and buy it. Really, really important. The third thing is then looking at answering the questions your customers are asking you. So this helps with the overall product packaging more than anything. The moment you start speaking the language, and I'm going to talk about this in a bit more in the message element, but the moment you start speaking the language of your ideal client is the moment where they really start to pay attention. If you start talking about the way that your product's going to solve their problem, is the answer to everything, and their dreams are going to come true, they're not going to listen to it. They're not going to pay attention to it. They're going to ignore it, and they're going to move on. So the big thing for you to realize right now is, how can you start working out what your ideal clients are talking about in the open market right now? So I'll give you an example. People don't come to us and say, Chris, I want to buy your social selling academy. They just don't, right? They come to us, and typical things that they will say are, I'm posting content, but no one's engaging with it. I'm using LinkedIn, but I don't seem to be getting any customers. I know my customers are on LinkedIn, but they're not buying from me. They're the sort of things that people come out and say. So what I'm looking at doing is creating content and packaging my product in a way that actually answers those questions. And I'll almost use the sentences. If you're currently posting content right now on LinkedIn and getting no engagement from it, then this is how we can help you. This is what that does. This is the answer to that question. So take the moment to think about, like, what are your ideal customers asking right now, and then put the content out there that aligns with it so you can start to really capitalize. It's really, really important. That's the products part. Quite simple, but it's just the way that you package things. The third thing is the message. So this is, again, linking into that bit that I mentioned a minute ago, taking the time to write down the questions that your ideal customers are asking right now and answer them in your content. The examples that I gave are ones that you can utilize if you're in social media. But if not, like, write them down on a bit of paper. So grab an A4 piece of paper or your notepad or whatever, and write down the three examples that I gave you. I'm posting content right now, but no one's engaging, in speech marks. I'm using LinkedIn and I know my customers are on here, but no one's buying. And I'm using social right now, spending lots of time on it, but not getting any results. And then what I want you to do is think about your business and do the equivalents to it. So, like, just put it to one side. Like, genuinely, it is insane when you do this, but you go out there and start posting content with those speech marks, the words inside those speech marks as your title, your engagement will absolutely take off because you're talking language that people actually understand and it cannot be taken for granted. I've never spoken about this for free, like anywhere. This is normally like inside of our academy. However, if you're watching now, you've earned the right to be able to hear it. And if you have heard this, could you just hit the like button just to show me that you've heard it and you've got to this point? And if you're not subscribed already, could you just hit that subscribe button? Because I'd be really, really grateful. Message is really important. It's the bit where most people get it horrendously wrong. And I could probably do a whole video. In fact, I'm going to do a whole video on message specifically because I feel like I do it disjustice to you all if I try and squeeze it in right now. But just that one example there, write down like the questions and then the answers, and that will really help you. The final part to all of this is process. Now, my biggest question to you all right now is whether you are presenting people with an opportunity to even buy from you right now. So I don't mean selling in your social content. That for me is the biggest mistake that every single person makes, is trying to sell on social. What I say is that do you currently off of social media, so you move people off of social to a place, whether it's a strategy call, whether it's an audit, whether it's a webinar, whatever it is, do you take them to the place and present them with the opportunity to buy from you? If you check the description in this video, you will see a link to a webinar replay that actually sits on my YouTube channel as well, but it's also there for you to be able to go into more detail with inside of by giving you the email address, by giving us the email address. Now, at the end of that webinar, I sell the Social Selling Academy. I introduce it and you have the opportunity to apply for it. We have people watch that video every single day. It's normally between 5 to 10 views, and we get about between 1 application to 2 applications every 2 to 3 days. We are constantly providing the right people the right opportunity to be able to buy from us at the stage where we've earned the right to sell to them. My question to you is, do you currently do that, or are you trying to sell too early on in the process by just saying, hey, I've got a special offer, do you want to buy from me right now? Or, hey, I've got this one-to-one strategy day that I'm trying to sell, here's the link in the comments, go and book the call. If you're doing that, it's probably time to take a step back and rethink, because there's an opportunity for you to be able to capitalize if you get it right. The biggest tip I guess I can give you in all of this is, depending on the business, right? Depending on what you do. For us, we're service-based, and it works for every service-based business that I've pretty much come across over the last 18 months, is taking the time to create a conversion piece of content. So a place where something you do, maybe you're doing, like I mentioned before, like a social media audit is something that we do. We provide free strategy and consultation calls, but they are very much that. They are strategy and consultation calls. Or we have webinars. Webinars are incredible. I'm going to do a whole video on webinars anyway. But if no one's buying from you right now, then this is something that you will need to build. You need something like this to be able to, one, highlight that your customer needs you, two, present them then with the opportunity to solve that problem by buying from you. Like, it's absolutely critical that you get this in place. And if you're not, this is where you're leaving money on the table. That's pretty much, I think, where I'm going to leave this video. I've kind of rambled on. I hope it's been helpful anyway. I just thought I'd brain download this. I'm recording this at like 7:45 at night, try and turn it around quite quickly. But I just thought I'd brain download that for you, because that question, like the whole what to do if no one's buying from you question, comes up a lot. And I just thought, rather than trying to answer it one-to-one all the time, I can just direct people to this video now. This is what I would do. I would look at where the source of the problem is. Is it a traffic problem, a product problem, a message problem, or a process problem? I'd score it and rank it out of 10. And then that would really determine where I'd put the immediate priority of time in. So I'd look at, okay, if process is an 8 out of 10, let's get the process sorted. Then let's get the message. Then let's get the product. And then let's look at the traffic, right? I look at it kind of in that order and get it done and solve it. that's something that you can do if you're in that position right now. Take the time to think. And if you don't have the answers, just drop me a message and I'll help you. Like, this is a community that I'm trying to build here. We're only a small channel, right? So if you could share this with people to let people know about the information that's here, if you found it valuable, that would be absolutely amazing. But we're a small community and I want to offer as much as I can to you. So I will be doing free mentoring sessions over the next few months. I'm going to be running more workshops than ever before. We're going to be doing lots and lots of content that's going to help answer the most asked questions in a way that I've not seen other people ask them before. So please drop a comment if you haven't already with any questions, or if you've just enjoyed it, like give me like an emoji of how you've like, which kind of represents how you feel. If you're not subscribed already, I'm going to keep asking. Please do. I only have about 40% of you watching that are subscribed right now. I'd love to get that to 50%. I'd also like to hit 1,000 subscribers like as quickly as possible. So if this has been helpful at all, please, please, please do subscribe. And if you could share this with just one person that may find it helpful, I'd be really, really grateful. That's it for me. Hope it's been helpful. I will see you all in the next video. Peace.